Imagine you have spent your entire life living inside a house that was already furnished when you arrived. You didn't choose the layout or the colors. You simply followed a master blueprint that was drawn up long before you were born. For years, that blueprint felt like the truth. It gave you ready-made answers for why the world works the way it does, what happens after we die, and why people have to suffer. It was a complete, comforting map of the universe. But then, something shifted. You looked at that blueprint and realized the math didn't add up anymore. The walls that used to feel solid started to look like paper, and you reached a point where you could no longer pretend the structure made sense. Walking out into the open air can feel like a relief at first, a moment of pure intellectual freedom. But then the sun goes down, and you realize you're standing in a blank landscape with absolutely no protection from the wind. When you lose a lifelong faith or a core worldview, you lose your shelter. You are suddenly physically exposed to every cold reality of being human. Eventually, a storm arrives. In our daily lives, that storm often looks like a sudden illness, the end of a long relationship, or losing a career you worked years to build. Facing a hardship like that without your old belief system is a unique kind of terror. You no longer have those thick, familiar walls to keep the rain off your back while you try to recover. Before, you could endure the pain because you believed it was part of a grand plan. Even when it hurt, you could tell yourself the struggle was serving a higher purpose that you just couldn't see yet. Without that plan, the pain hits with a raw, stinging force. It feels random. It feels unguided. The suffering starts to feel entirely pointless, and that sense of pointlessness is often harder to bear than the hardship itself. This hollow, airless feeling, the sense that life has been emptied of its substance, is what researchers call an existential vacuum. It is the natural gap that opens up when a prepackaged world falls away. There is a branch of psychology that focuses on how we find our footing in these empty spaces. It suggests that meaning isn't a hidden object we have to find. It is a structure we have to build ourselves. Take the story of a man named David. Within a single year, he lost his faith, his entire social community, and his career. He was standing in the middle of a total collapse. David spent months paralyzed by the weight of it. He felt that since there was no divine reason for his life falling apart, there was no reason to even try to pick up the pieces. Eventually, the sheer exhaustion of asking, "Why me?" changed him. He stopped looking for a cosmic explanation that wasn't coming, and instead looked directly at the ruins of his life. He realized that his intense grief over his lost career actually pointed to something solid, his deep personal pride in providing for his family. That value didn't come from a blueprint. It came from him. He looked at the loneliness of losing his old community and realized he wanted friendships built on shared honesty rather than shared doctrine. His pain was acting like a filter, showing him what he truly cared about. David's hardships turned out to be his construction materials. He used the insights from his own suffering to stack a new, stable foundation for the rest of his life. This idea that we can forge something valuable out of suffering was championed by the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. As a survivor of the Nazi concentration camps, he saw the human spirit pushed to its absolute limit. Frankl noticed that even when everything else was taken away, humans kept one final freedom: the power to choose their own attitude toward their circumstances. This chart illustrates the tragic triad. The central triangle represents three inescapable realities: pain, guilt, and death. But through tragic optimism, we can choose to turn pain into achievement, use guilt to change ourselves, and use death to take responsible action. Applying this to your own storm means deciding that your suffering isn't just noise. It's an opportunity to take a defiant stand and grow through the very thing that is trying to break you. Meaning doesn't require a universal grand plan. It just requires your own courageous response to the challenges you face right now. Navigating a world without a master blueprint is difficult. You're standing in the rain, and there are no easy answers provided for you anymore. But there is a massive freedom in this chaos. Since there is no preordained destiny dictating your every move, you are the one who gets to decide what actually matters. You don't have to solve the mysteries of the universe. You only have to look at the immediate, local challenge in front of you and decide how you're going to respond. The collapse of your old certainty left behind a blank lot. Now, for the first time, the tools to build something on that space are in your own hands. The work is heavy, and it takes time, but a shelter you build yourself, forged from your own doubts and your own resilience, will be a home that can never be taken away.